Welcome everyone. This is Hemant Negi. So in this course, we are going to build a real world backend system step by step using Java, Spring Boot and PostgreSQL. Starting from the basics and gradually we will move towards the microservices and AWS. And this is not a theoretical course. Everything you will learn here will be applied to a production style backend project. Okay, and by the end of this series you will clearly understand how real backend systems are designed, how microservices actually work in the production, and how applications are deployed and scaled on AWS. So here what you will learn in this course, so here phase by phase the learning journey. So in this course you will start with Java, Spring Boot and PostgreSQL. Here we will build a complete backend application from the scratch and learn the clean code and clean architecture. And gradually we will break our monolithic system into the microservices. Okay, and here we will also secure APIs using JWT authentication, and finally we will deploy everything on the AWS cloud. So this roadmap is designed especially for Java developers, Spring Boot beginners to intermediate developers, and anyone who is just preparing for backend or microservices interviews. So guys, this is our technology stack overview. So in phase 1 we will just look over the core backend foundation. So for our this backend systems we are just using Java 17, Spring Boot, PostgreSQL, and here we will just design the REST APIs and we will just use the JPA and Hibernate. Okay, so here our focus for phase 1 will be on strong fundamentals and real coding. Okay, and later on phase 2 we will just see about the clean architecture. So here we will just see about the layered architecture, and here also we will see like the controller, service, repository layers and their separations. We will see about the DTOs and mappers, and also we will look over the global exception handling, validation and logging. Okay, so our focus will be for this phase 2 on maintainable and scalable code. And once we will just design these systems, we will just move over the microservices. So initially we will just design the system as monolithic. Later on we will just break this into the microservices, kind of service to service communication we will see here. And here we will also see about the API gateway, centralized security and kind of asynchronous communication. So for this, the focus for phase 3 will be real world enterprise architecture. Okay, and here in phase 4 we will just see about the AWS and DevOps basics. So our main focus will be kind of Dockerizing services. Inside the AWS we will look over EC2, AWS RDS for DB system, AWS S3, AWS SQS. Okay, so our focus area for phase 4 will be kind of production deployment and cloud readiness. Okay, so let's move over the project overview. So here what we will build, so here we will just look one example of e-commerce backend system. So we will build a complete backend system similar to a real world platform. So our main core modules here is kind of user services. So inside the user services we can see like kind of user registrations, login modules, roles modules and all. So inside the products we have kind of product management. Inside orders we have kind of orders management, orders processing and all. And we have kind of notification. So this will be kind of async notification. So this project will grow along with the course. So first, as I mentioned earlier, we will look it as a monolithic, then convert it into the microservices. Yeah, so this one about our phase 1. So in this phase 1, first we will see like what is monolithic. Okay, so what is monolithic architecture? So in the plain layman language, the entire applications, whatever the services what we see earlier, you can just see like here the users, products, orders, notification. For all these we will just create a single Spring Boot application. Okay, and here we will just use a single Postgres database, and all modules we will just use inside one project. Okay, so that it is easy to debugging and learning. Okay, and here why start with monolithic? So that it is easier to understand, faster development, simple debugging, and best for learning fundamentals. Okay, so this is how most real projects actually work. Okay, yeah, so this is our phase 2. In phase 2 we will look over microservices. So inside the microservices breakdown, we have just divided these like auth service, user service, product service, order service, and notification service. Okay, and here the key principles is each service has its own database. Okay, so that we have independent deployment and it is easy to scalable and fault tolerant. So here you will learn when and why to move to microservices. So here we will not blindly convert everything. Okay, yeah, so here we have security overview. So how security will work? So in this point we will just learn about JWT based authentication, central API gateway, token validation at gateway level, and we will also look over the role based access control. Okay, so this approach reflects the real enterprise system used in the production. Okay, so inside this last not least, in the AWS preview, what you will see, like we will deploy our service using EC2. EC2 is basically for running the Spring Boot services, RDS for managing the database, S3 for file storage system, kind of images and documents, and SQS for kind of messaging services, or kind of we can say like asynchronous communication. So here guys, no prior AWS knowledge required. Everything I will just explain from the scratch. Okay, and guys, some common mistakes just developers make. So this is very important sections. So these are mistakes we will avoid in this course. Like initially we will not start microservices too early. Okay, so we will also focus like no DTO layer, and sometimes we directly expose the entity systems, our entity classes. So we will focus on that area as well. Sometimes we just use the poor exception handling, so we will look over that area too. And we will also focus on logging strategy and look over the tight coupling between the modules. So here I will also explain why these mistakes cause problems in the production. Okay, and what's coming in the next video? So in the next video we will cover kind of Spring Boot project structure, the folder organization, PostgreSQL setup, kind of database configuration, and we will just see like our first API. So this will be hands-on coding from the next video onwards. Okay, so here if you want to master the Spring Boot, understand the microservices properly, and you just want to be confidently deploy application on AWS, then this course is for you. Okay, thank you.